So today I'm going to show you how I created this navbar using React, and even the styling, all the CSS is made from scratch as well. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did that too. So right now, let's take a look at it. So pretty much I'll hover over the menu items and you got the cool little hover animation effect going on, even the button. And then when I shrink it down to the mobile view, you can see that it changes. We got the hamburger menu icon going right there. I click on this, boom, slides out, and we got some more hover animations here, and then go again like this. And then there is the nav bar. And in case you're wondering what is the benefit of React, I can pretty much go here and I have my component nav bar here, copy and paste this, and now we got 4 nav bars, pretty much the exact same thing. And you can see there we got it like this. Now you're probably not going to use more than 1 nav bar in a website, but I just want to show you a cool little fun thing that React allows you to do with components. So without further ado, let's hop into our code editor and start creating. So before we get started coding, we need to create a React application using the terminal. So if you've already made a React app before, then you already know the drill. But in case you have not, go ahead and if you're on a MacBook, search up the terminal with your Finder, or pretty much just go to your terminal. I have Bash open up right here. And right now I'm in my projects folder right here. So basically all I need to do to create a React app is simply type in npx and then create -react-app and then space and then whatever you want to name this. So for this, I'm just going to say React Navbar and then see tutorial, and let's just say YT just for YouTube, but pretty much there. And I'm gonna hit enter. And then if you type everything correctly, it's going to start loading up. Looks like you're a hacker trying to hack into something like in the movies. But after this loads up, this is going to take probably 50,000 years. So I will see you once this loads up. Actually, it's probably like closer to like a couple minutes here now. But basically, once it's done, I will see you on the other side. All right, so now that it has loaded up, you should see CD and whatever you name the file. And then basically npm start below here, which you can see right there. So go ahead and click into terminal, and then all I need to do is basically click or type CD. So we're going into now the folder that we just created. So react-navbar-tutorial-yt. So now I'm inside of the folder we just created for this file. And then before I do npm start, I want this to open up in my code editor. So for me to do that, just type in code space and then the period or dot and then press enter, and then this will open up my VS Code. Now if you do run into any issues, just simply type in on Google code dot isn't opening up my code editor, and you should see a bunch of ways to fix that issue. So now I have the code editor opened up, and before I go into the code editor and show you all the fun stuff, let's go back to the terminal. And the last thing we need to do is simply start this up. So npm and then space start and then hit enter, and now everything should be working. And then right now I do have it already open because you can see on the background. So what I'm going to do is simply just type in Y. You won't see this if you only have this your first time. Don't worry about this screen. But mine, since I already have the application running in the background, I'm just going to go ahead and press Y to open it up. And now it opens up on a new tab. And technically, here, let me actually bring this over here. So now once you type in npm start, you should have this showing up in your browser. And this is basically all the files we have right now for the current React application. So now you don't have to exit out, but you can just get rid of the screen there. So now let me drag this over. You can see this much better. All right, so now here in our VS Code, well, I'm using VS Code depending on what editor you have. In the src folder, we'll have all these predefined files that React creates for us. And I'm just going to go ahead and pretty much delete most of them. So basically click here and then let's go to the logos. Let's delete these. And then also app test. I'm going to delete that one. And then we can pretty much keep these. Now, if you like to prefer to just do it from scratch, I mean, you can do that yourself. But basically in the index, I want to get rid of this code right here. So click on the index.js. And then let me scroll down, get rid of this React strict mode stuff right here, and then let me backspace, And let's go like this. So this can be much easier for you to see it. Make sure you add a comma after the app component right there. And then pretty much your code should look like this for the index.js file. Or if you did it from scratch, basically you can do the same. And then we can delete this line right here because we're not importing this anymore. And yeah, it looks like that's pretty good right there. So I'm gonna save that. And then I'm using the shortcut command B, like B as in like honeybees, to like open and close the sidebar. For the CSS, right now we're not worrying about this, so we don't have to worry about it yet. We could actually delete that maybe in the future, we'll see. But now go to app.js, and inside of this, I want to pretty much get rid of the header and all the code inside of it. So like that's, and then I'm gonna hit save here. And then actually let's delete this line from the logo, and then we don't have to touch that either. And then for the CSS, I mean, we could delete this, but it doesn't really, it's not doing anything right now, so we can just keep it for now. Now you can see on our side we have our blank screen. So pretty much if I just say hi, save this, we got the word hi right there. So you can see that it's still working and everything is good to go. And then let's go ahead and let me show you again the public folder. So this pretty much has our index.html, which we will import a font awesome and also our Google fonts into here in eventually. So I'll show you that in just a second. But the first thing that I want to do is create our first component. So one thing I'm going to do is actually create a new folder. So go hover over the src folder here, right click, and then go and click on new folder. And I'm just going to name this components. And now within the components folder, we need to create another folder. So I'm gonna go a new folder here. That's gonna be called Navbar. And then since there's only one right now, it doesn't like show it underneath. But basically we're inside the Navbar. So now if I right click again over this and click on new file, I can create a navbar.js, and make sure that you copy my capitalization. That's just the way we do it in React. And now you can see now the we have it inside of the components folder, which is inside the navbars folder, which is inside navbar. Now I don't know why it's not showing it like stacking. So in order to see it, I'll have to create a new file too, which is going to be eventually the buttons component. So I'm just going to do, and this is over, I don't know if you saw that, but hover over the components folder, right click, new file, and then just do button.js. And now you can see how we have the separate folders. Now, anytime this might have messed up to where the files are like all over the place, just make sure you just go back and just click it and drag it into the corresponding position. So right now, Navbar has Navbar.js, and then components has the button.js, and then everything else is inside the src, just like that. Okay, just in case you might get lost in that section. And then since we're here already, let's go ahead and create a button.css too. So go back over to the components, right click over it, new file, and let's do button.css. And now we got that good for there. And then let's go into our navbar now. So navbar folder, we have navbar. And then since we're here already, I'm gonna right click over navbar, click on new file, and just do navbar.css. And then last file we're going to create is simply the menu item. So within the navbar folder, right click over that, click on new file, and then I'm just gonna call this menu and then capital I, so items.js. And these are pretty much all the files that we need to create for this project, or at least the way I structured this. And feel free to play around with the code and do it any way you like as well. So let's go ahead and start with the very first one, which is the navbar.js. Okay, so this is a little shortcut. Basically, you type in imrc and then press tab, and then automatically imports React and also the components. And some people do it where they erase it, which I'll show you in just a second. And then I'm gonna go and create a class, so class navbar, and I'm using a class because we're going to be utilizing state, so that's why I'm doing that instead of a function. And then class navbar extends, and then since we already have component above, we can just simply put components, and then basically our curly braces like this. Now other people I've seen, they do it like this, where it's like react.component, then you can just get rid of this, and it's exactly the same, does the same thing. But again, when I do the shortcut key, it's just so much faster. So again, it just depends on your preference. And then for the first thing we're gonna do, always have a render. So we got the render, and then we got the curly braces like this. And then within the render, we have to return something. So I'm gonna say return, and then in the parentheses. So I put the parentheses because you can put JSX on multiple lines, so that way you don't have to run into any issues. And then pretty much we can go ahead and start editing our code here. So first thing I want to do is create a nav. So I'm gonna type nav, and I have a thing included on my settings that makes me where I can basically, it's kind of like Emmet for the code editor. So again, you can look that on Google really quick, but for the sake of this, I'm just gonna go ahead, create a nav like this, and then go inside the nav and then create a class name. So in React, things are called class and then name instead of just straight up class. So I'm gonna hit enter here, quotes, and I want to name this navbar item. So this is the way that people name things in React, is basically to name it with a capital letter. And again, it depends on how you want to write it. There's other ways to do it too, but I'm just gonna go with the capitalizing of the class names for this. And feel free to comment down below any other preferences or better ways to go about that. But here I'm gonna go ahead and say h1, and then I want the class name to be navbar-logo. So again, you might have to manually type this out. This is your first time using React, because you won't have this extra setting updated. But basically, let me shrink that side now. So now we have class name Navbar's logo, and it's basically just gonna say React. And we're gonna import Font Awesome eventually, so you can see that little like React logo I had on it in the beginning. That was just a Font Awesome icon. And then after the H1, I'm gonna create another div. So let's go with div. And then I'm gonna have the class name going to be, what do I have for this? Menu-icon. And then within this div, I'm gonna press enter. And then we're pretty much going to have the class I, or the tag I, and it's gonna have the class name, which I will actually do in just a second, because right now we don't have Font Awesome installed. So leave this blank and then we'll go back to this. But basically go outside this div now. And then we have the UL here, so I'm gonna go with UL. Let's create a UL here. And then let's go ahead and create the LI, so LI. And for the LIs, we're gonna have to add a bunch of code into here to essentially make it to where you don't have to manually input the code. But basically you're gonna have the LI, we're gonna have the A tags here. So this is pretty much how it's gonna be structured like this. Now, let's go ahead and let's create the actual nav menu, the menu items first. So the way I did it was I had it created into another file like this, and essentially we have const, so I'm gonna say const menu items, and I'm gonna set it equal to an array, so that way I can essentially keep all of the menu names in here. So if I ever want to change it, update it, add extra code to it, I have it perfectly right here, and I don't have to go and manually type in like H or like LIA home, LIA tag, like services, etc. So this is just a much easier way to do it. And then I'm gonna have the curly braces, enter in here, and then I'm just gonna call this the title. You can call this label or whatever you want to call it, but this is basically like home, about us, services, contact us, and I'm just gonna call this one home. Then I have a comma, and then this the URL. Again, you can name this link whatever you want to, and I'm gonna call this is just gonna be a hashtag, so because it goes nowhere right now. And essentially that's where you put the link. So if like google.com, youtube.com, that's where you put it there. And then this is the short name I have. It's just gonna be called CName, and this is a way to import class names without having to manually type it in. So this is gonna be short for CName, because we already have class name in React, so just CName is the way I have it here. And then the class name is going to be called nav-links. Now I can add a comma here, and then I'm basically going to copy and paste this as many times as I want to have menu items. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4. And then this fifth one is for mobile. And this is the way I have it for mobile. Now there's much better ways, I'm sure, to create the mobile pop out where you can create like a new component and whatnot. But this is the way I have it for now. And let's go to the second tile. Let's just change this to services or whatever you want to call it. Nav links, everything's still the same. For the title here, I'm going to call it products. And the next one is going to be contact us. And then this one will be essentially replacing the button for the mobile side, and then I'm just gonna call the class navlinks mobile here. So I'm gonna save. Before I do save this, we have to export it. So that's one thing I forgot. So export. And now we have to import all of this data into our navbar here. So let's go up to the top. I'm gonna say imports. And then I'm gonna put curly braces and then pretty much say menu items. And then we're gonna say from /menu items. And now we need to add our menu items here. And also one thing I forgot to do is always, so let's go export default from, what is this, navbar. So now you can see we have it there. So now we export defaults. And now let's go ahead and finish up this navbar. So if I were to save this, you're probably gonna get an error because this isn't filled out. It's not proper right now. But first things first, let's go ahead and let's update the LIs first. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna go inside of the A tags. And for the A tags, we can erase this href here. And let's just start from scratch. So I'm gonna say a class name. I'm gonna set this equal to, and then I'm gonna put the curly braces, and I'm gonna say item.cname. And now I don't know why I put menu items, my bad. So item.cname here. And before I go into here, let me show you what's going on in case you're probably like, yo, what's going on? So here's the UL. Now within the UL, we have to essentially go through all those datas in the array and essentially return a new array. So we're going to map over the data in that array, which is going to utilize map. All right, so essentially we're creating a new array with the values, and we're gonna go and do curly braces here. And I'm gonna say menu items. So again, this is this right here we're targeting now. And within the curly braces, this is inside of the UL tag, by the way, but above the LI. Say dots. Now we're gonna map, and then I'm gonna say put the parentheses here, and then I'm gonna put another parentheses. We're gonna have another, essentially an arrow function inside of this. And within this right here, the parameters, we're gonna pass in the item, and then we just have the index. So now you can see this is what I have for the item here. And now let me tab over this. And then what this is going to return, which I'll show here, return, put the parentheses here, hit enter. We're going to return the LI and the A tags, which essentially is our menu items. So let's go and space this in here. So now, when I update this, we have a class name. It's equal to item.cname. So cname again is right here. It's cname. So essentially item.cname, which is the class navlinks, which sets this class here to navlinks. And then when I go in space, now we have to add the href. It's equal to curly braces. It's going to be item.url. And again, just go back. Item.url, which doesn't go anywhere because we're not linking it to anything. And then we're still inside the A tag. I'm going to do the last one is going to be, actually we're going to go outside the A tag. So now we're in the middle of the A tag now. So let me add some space so you can see what's going on. Let me add this code better so you can see it. So now we're inside of the A tag. Let's see, 1 second here. And then let me bring this LI on this floor right there. Okay, yeah, here we go. So now we're inside the A tag, the text part. And what we want this to be is essentially say home, about us, etc. So we have the curly braces here, and I'm gonna say item, and try to guess what will we put here if we want to get, for instance, home or services or products. Now, if you guess it right, it's going to be item.title, and basically that is going to get us the home, about us, services, etc. Whichever index we're on there. URLs here, and then class names there. And now we pretty much need to add a key to our LI too. That's one thing we always have to do in React. So add a key equal to curly braces, and I'm just going to say that to the index. And now we're pretty much good with the UL section here. So let me just clean up the spacing right there. And I'm saved this, and right now you can't see anything yet because we still haven't finished up all of our code, and we got to add some more things too. So next thing I want to do is add in the Font Awesome icon and also the font I have. So basically, I'm gonna go back to our files here, and I'm gonna go into public, and then click on the index.html here. So let me close out here. And now we need to go over to fontawesome.com. So if you used this before, then you already know how it works out. But essentially, if you have not, basically go ahead and create an account. And then once you create an account, go up to the right side where your little profile icon is supposed to be. And then click on Font Awesome CDN. And then you'll basically be led to here, where you can go ahead and copy in the CDN, which is this right here. And then I'm gonna go in and just right below this link here, as long as you're inside the head tag, and then I'm gonna copy that in there. So now we have this Font Awesome CDN right there. So I'm gonna save this, then go here, and let's go back to the Navbar JS file right here. So let me actually, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm back here now on navbar.js. So right here, click that. And now within the actual menu icon, this is the class for the, actually let's go ahead and add the React one first, because for the menu icon I have a ternary operator. Is basically, you'll see in just a second, but for this one let's just do actually hold on, let me do the I tag like this, and then within the I tag let's do class names equal to quotes, and then let's put FAB dash React. I'm gonna save that there, and let's go back. And right now you can't see anything yet because I need to add some styling onto here, but pretty much that is our icon right there. And then for the menu icon, I'm gonna wait to show you that because it won't make any sense until I add in the function that has a click. So since we're here already, I'm gonna go ahead and import the Google fonts that I have. You do not have to use the fonts I'm using, but for styling sake, if you want to copy it, just type in Google Fonts Montserrat, or just go to Google Fonts and then just download it. But basically, I'm just import the just regular 400 style here. Select the style, go to embed, and then for the link, copy this link here. Go into your index. I'm just gonna add this underneath that in the index.html right there. So we save this. And then simply let's go to our navbar.css. Actually, let's go to our app.css, and let's get rid of all of this text code right here, all the CSS up here. We're not really using it. And then let's just copy in this font family here. And let's go ahead and come in like this. And technically, I could actually, let me actually get rid of this, just do the asterisk sign, just reset everything. So box sizing, border box, margin 0, padding will be 0, and then we can copy the font family like this, save it, and then we can go back here. And you can see it updated. You really can't see that, but it's changed. And now let's go to our navbar again, and let me go Command B. So right now we have the navbar item. So let's go ahead and let's start styling stuff so you can kind of see what's going on, and then that way it'll make way more sense when we start to add more of the extra stuff. But first things first, I'm gonna do dot navbar items, and I have a gradient for the background, so it's gonna be quite a lot of typing, but once you do this, everything else is pretty short. But basically, let me close this out. Background, gonna be linear gradient. I'm gonna say 90 degrees. And let's just, actually, let me just type out for you since I'm here. I usually go to a website that gives me an auto-generated linear gradient. But for this sake, since this is specific, and plus this is the first time I want to show you how I do it, and then that way afterwards I can just copy and paste everything after that. And then RGBA, let's do 73, 63, 252, 1. And it looks like the screen's got too small to see. And then outside of this parentheses, basically 100%. And right now if I save, nothing's gonna happen because I don't have anything set yet. So let's do let's do a height of 80 pixels. And then let's do actually I have to import this, so that's why you can't see anything yet. So now let's go back to navbar.js, and at the top, right where we're importing, we got to import the CSS file. So import quotes dot slash, and it's be navbar.css. Now we save that there. And then when we go Command B here, let me actually add now our component to our app. Now we can actually see what's going on here. So let's go to app. And we have to actually import this so you can see what's going on. So imports navbar from dot slash. We're in the components file folder. And then we got to go into the navbar folder. And then we got to import the navbar. And then before I save this, I'm just going to add the navbar inside like this with the closing slash like that. And now I have it saved. And now you can finally see what we were working on. So that's much better now, so you can actually visually see what's going on. So now let me exit off the app for now. And let's go back to the navbar CSS. So now we have the heights. And let me bring this over so you can see what's going on in real time. So heights there, and now let's go just do display flex, bring them on the sideline like this, and then justify content would be center, and let's do align items center, and let's do font size 1.2 rem. So right now you can't see anything because it's currently, let me see. Oh no, actually my browser's just bugging around, but now you can kind of see it, and it looks just like this. All right, so now let's do actually mistype. Let's do that. Enter. Let's target the navbar logo now. So navbar dash logo. It's just gonna be the color of hashtag FFF. Justify self. Right there. Let me put starts. And then let's go and margin left this to be 20 pixels, and then cursor, just want to have pointer. Now we have it like this. And then for the React logo, I just want to shrink that a little bit. fa-react margin dash left to be 0.5 rem, and then just font size will be 1.6 rem. So let's just do a couple styling with CSS. And then we'll go right back to the actual React stuff in just a second. But I want to start first because you really want to know what's going on until I actually finish this. So actually, let's save this first. Let me go back to our navbar because I forgot to add our menu name here. But essentially, what I want this to be is let's add the state, because this will make sense once I have it done. Right now, you can't really see what's going on because I haven't added the state yet, but I wanted to wait for this. But now let's might as well go ahead, and I'm gonna add state like this. So this is essentially a shorter way to write this instead of having to have a constructor function. And I'm not gonna go into too crazy detail, but basically I'm gonna say state it's equal to curly braces, and then this is the property I'm gonna say. This is essentially stating whenever you click on something, or aka the icon for this example, if it's true or false. So you could name this on, off, active, not active, whatever. I'm just going to call this clicked. I'm going to set the value starting off to be false. And then we're going to have to create a function that essentially will tell us if this is actually clicked or not. So pretty much, let's see if it's better to, let me just write the function out first for you. So actually, yeah, let me add it into the JSX so you can actually make sense of this. So basically, here's the div with the menu icon, right? And eventually I'll add the icon right here. But for right now, let's put on click. I'm gonna set this equal to this dot state, or actually my bad, this dot handle click. And a handle click essentially is going to be a function that tells you to set the state to a specific value that we're gonna add eventually. Now for the menu icon, which is the hamburger menu here, let's go ahead and add that now since we're here already. And so I just have I and then class name equal to, and this is where it's going to get a little trippy or a little tricky. It's going to be a little hard to understand at first, but once you see this work out, it'll make more sense. So right now we're going to have to create something to where whenever you click on this icon, it's going to be one or two classes. So the first class we're having to do first is say this dot state dot clicked. Okay, So now we're going to target the state value. We're going to say, is this clicked? If it's true, so we have the ternary operator, so boom. And then basically we're going to say, set the class name for this icon to be FAS space FA dash times, which is essentially the three little hamburger menu bar looking thing. And then outside the quotes, we have a colon. If you click it again, it's going to change it to the X, so FA dash bars, which is essentially the X icon right there. And that's pretty much how this icon is going to work. But you can see here, this is the icon right now. And we haven't added any CSS yet, so it looks kind of ugly, but that's basically the icon, FA space FA times. And if I were to go to Font Awesome and search that up, just so you can make sure you're fully understanding what's going on here. If I type in like hamburger menu, you can see here actually this is the bars. Yeah, so this is FA bars, and then I believe, so let me just okay, I gotta replace, my bad. So let me go back to icons. Now let's do close here, and then you'll see, where is it at? This is time. Okay, so basically it's what it's saying with this line of code is if this .state is clicked, then we're going to change this menu hamburger icon into the X, which is FA dash times. And then if it's not, then it's going to be the bars. So right now we haven't clicked it, so right now it's the bars. And then we're gonna have to write a on click, so this handle click function that's going to basically toggle in and out between the values true or false, so that we can keep clicking it. It'll be X or the bars back and forth. So basically I'm gonna go above the render and below the state. I'm gonna say handle click. And we have to do an arrow function here. This is crucial because it's not going to be able to target the disk properly. And pretty much if you don't use the arrow function here, you're going to run into a lot of issues. But basically we're going to say handle click equals to arrow function. I'm going to say this. Now we have to set the state now. So this is how we're setting the state value. And then parentheses. And now inside we're going to have a curly braces. And we're going to say clicked. And we're changing now the click value to essentially the opposite, so it's to be exclamation mark this dot state dot clicked. So whenever you click on it, so let me show you. So I think I have everything set. It should, yeah. So right now, see how it works here. So basically, it's saying set click to the opposite value whenever you click it, and that's what this line is doing here. So now we click it, it turns into the X. Click it again, it goes back to the hamburger menu icon. So this is essentially what all this code up here did. And now we need to edit the UL because whenever we're on mobile, this stuff is going to essentially shift to the left, at least the way I created this. And then when we click it, we want it to add a class to it to where it will showcase on mobile. So let's go into the UL now. And then we're going to set this class name. So that's why I want to do the icon first. You kind of see what happened. So let's say UL class name is equal to curly braces. I want to say the same concept, this dot state dot clicked. And if you did, we're going to say question mark. We're going to add the class nav dash menu of space active here. And then if you did not click on it, the class is just going to be the regular nav menu. And that's basically all you need to do for the UL here. So essentially, again, what this happens is whenever we click on this icon, because this is the only thing with the handle click, it's going to, one, change the icon with this line, and then it's also going to add the class name of active to the UL if you clicked it, and if you did not click it, it's just going to be the normal class name of nav-menu. So I'm going to save this here, and now we can actually go back to the navbar.css, and then we can actually edit the nav menu now. So now we have the class nav menu, which is the UL with all the home services, etc. And let's just do display grid. Nothing happened yet because we haven't added the template column. So grid dash template dash columns. I'm going to say repeat 5 comma auto. And let's add a grid gap. So just add some spacing in between them. Let's just put 10 pixels. And then let's do a list style, none. Gets rid of the like bullet points. Text line, let's make it center. Let's do width of, let's just do 70, viewport width. Justify content. Justify content. If I can type this, put that to end. So before I save it, it's really hard to see what's going on. So put it like this. And then let's do margin dash right to be to rem. So right now, this is what we got going on here, and then React's like this, and it's like a massive, I think it's because I zoomed in. Okay, that makes so much more sense. I was going crazy for a second. I was like, why is my navbar looks so weird? All right, so now this is pretty much what yours should look like if you're following along the steps, or in case some sort of variation of this. But now you can see we have our nav menu, aka the ULs right here. And now let's actually add customization now. So when we created the menu items, we have the class of nav links on all of them. So let's go back to our Navbar CSS. And I'm gonna do dot nav dash links, curly braces, I'm gonna say color to be white, text decoration, let's do none, and then let's do padding of 0.5 rem and 1 rem. And this is only for the hover. That padding section is not really necessary until we added the other stuff, but right now this is what it looks like. And then we're eventually going to get rid of the sign up because we're going to turn that into a button. But let's do just nav links hover since we're here. Let's just say background color, want it to be hashtag 6D76F7. And then let's do border radius. So I'm around the corners, 4 pixels, and transition. Just want it to be all 0.2 seconds and ease out. So essentially now when you hover over it, has like that little square effect here. And then underneath this, I'm gonna add a color to the bars. So again, this is the hamburger menu icon, which is right under the word home right now. Say FA dash bars, and then simply just set it to color of hashtag FFF. And I can see they turn white there. And let's target the link, which is the nav mobile's link. So let me write it out first. So nav links mobile, and we're gonna say display of none. So this right here is the sign up right there, and the reason we have it is just for mobile. We'll see in a second. But now you can see it disappears. And in case you forgot, if you go back to our menu items, this was the last one we have setting here. And then boom. And then last but not least, we need to get rid of the hamburger menu. So let's target it, menu dash icon. And let's change it to display none. And again, see it's gone here. And again, in case you forgot, if I go back to the nav bar, the icon is essentially in div with the classic menu dash icon. So that's where we closed it and basically hit it. Actually, yeah, it's over here. Yeah, this is where we hit it here. So now let's go ahead and save this, and it's not mobile responsive, so it looks kind of weird, but when I zoom it out, pretty close to what we got going on. Now we just need to add the button. So let me add the button, and this button is quite a lot of stuff, but let's go ahead and let's go to our, let me exit off some of this stuff. So up here, let's go to our button.js. Now for the button, I got this from another tutorial, but pretty much it's a similar concept where we're essentially setting styles and then being able to reuse this without having to constantly type out a bunch of code. So basically you're gonna say imports React from React here, and then I'm gonna say imports quotes dot slash button capitalized dot CSS, which was the CSS file we have created. Now we're going to create a variable, so constant or just const styles in all caps. I'm set equal to an array, and in this array we're going to put quotes and say button dash dash primary. So this is essentially the primary color of the button. So for this example, it's like a bluish teal color for this website, and then quotes, btn dash dash outline, and then that is the values for the styles. And I'm going to create the sizing for the button. So again, this is, if you do need more sizes, you can always update this, but basically const size is equal to an array, and then I'm just going to name it button dash dash medium, comma, and then basically btn dash dash large. And now we have those values set, and now we can actually start writing out all of our code. So here basically we have to make sure we're exporting this. So export, and I'm going to say const button. I'm going to set this equal to, this is the values we're going to be essentially going to target eventually. So I'm going to say curly braces, and then I'm going to just type, I'm going to add this, put this on a different line, but essentially this is an arrow function here, and then these values we're passing in. But let's go ahead and add them in here because there's quite a lot. So we're going to go here and just add the value. So children, comma, enter. I'm just going to say type, comma, enter, on click, and then button style, and then button size. So now we have essentially the values here. Now we're going to go inside of the curly braces now, and this we're going to add some more code. So let me actually hit enter here so you can see this. And pretty much what we're going to say is we're going to say const, I'm just going to call this check button style. We're going to set this equal to styles, which is what we created above. And then we're going to check, so dot includes, and we're going to check if it already includes a button style, which we have created this property here. And essentially, if it already has a style, then if that's true, we're just going to basically use the button styling. And then if it doesn't have a button style, we're going to go to set it to the default styles at the first position. So as styles with the array of 0. And this is essentially saying it's going to go to button primary since that's the first position in our array here. And then we'll have the same thing for const check button size. It's going to equal to sizes dot includes, in parentheses we have button size. And then we're same concept, except we're just checking if it's true. If there's already a button size, then basically set it equal to the button size, or else just set equal to the value of the sizes first one, which would be just medium here. And then enter here, and then we're just gonna have to return this. So return parentheses, and then within the parentheses, I'm gonna say button, and then basically in the button we're gonna put the children. So passing the children inside of the button. And then I'm gonna hit enter. You can see, actually no, let me hit enter here. So let's go to the top button now. And let me spaces like that. Okay, so now you can see better. I'm just gonna say class name equal to quotes. Actually, I'm back curly braces, and we're gonna do backticks. I'm gonna say btn, and then we're gonna implement template literal. So $, curly braces. We're gonna say check button style, which is essentially going to be the class that we create for this. And then we're going to do $, curly braces again, check button size. And then go outside of these curly braces, but we're still inside the button tag. And then we're going to say on click equals to whatever we set for the on click, and then type basically equals to whatever the type. For this project is mainly you got to make sure we have the class name set. So basically right now it has the default, it has a class of btn, and then btn style is most likely going to be btn primary because we have that as our first set here. And then btn size or check button size would be essentially button medium. So unless we override it and set it equal to large or outline or anything else, it's most likely going to be like looking like that when we have the class. And this pretty much covers the button JavaScript page. So let's go and now go to the button CSS. And there's not too much code for this, but let's update this really quick. So let's just say colon, so at the root, I'm just gonna set the main value, so primary. And this is the primary color. I'm just gonna have 3 ACB F7. And it's just like a brightish blue. And then basically we're going to target the button class here. I'm going to say padding. Just put 8 pixels by 20 pixels. Border radius, just have it to be 4 pixels. Outline, just have it none. And then border is none. Then cursor pointer. Then under that, just btn hover. And just say padding. Just have it 8 pixels by 20 pixels. Transition, make sure I have the right one. All 0.3s, and then ease out. Background. Now you don't have to copy my stuff, by the way, if you don't care about the CSS. You can just make a generic button, it doesn't matter. But you just want to follow along, this is what I have for this. And then color, let's put 6568 F4. And then just transition to 50 milliseconds. Now let's target the button dash primary, which we created in the styles, which again was here. So we're gonna make this properties now. I'll just say background color equal to var. So whenever you do some sort of variable name like this, you have to do var parentheses dash and then just primary like this. Then we got btn dash outline, and that's basically just background color transparent color hashtag FFF. Padding be 8 pixels by 20 pixels. Border radius will be 4 pixels. Border will be 1 pixel solid. Var parentheses dash primary color. And then transition just be all 0.3s ease out. So that's back. So that's btn outline. Now we have just 2 more, and we'll be pretty much done with the button. So don't worry, we're almost there. So btn medium, and then we have to do btn large, and that's basically it. So padding, I should say 8 pixels by 20 pixels. Border radius 4 pixels. Font size will be 18 pixels. And then color will be hashtag FFF. Then we got btn dash large, which would be, just copy this in, and I'm just gonna change like the little thing. So just put this to like 12, and this is just my preference again. And then we can change this to like 20. So pretty much the CSS for the button. So now we just gotta go to the navbar.js, and let's add our button right underneath the UL here. So let's make sure you capitalize the B, closing tag, and then let's just say sign up. And it's not going to work because we have not imported the button.js. So let's just do import, and it's gonna do curly braces, button from : / button. Save it, and boom, now we have, for the most part, the navbar creating a desktop with the hover animations right there. So now all we need to do is implement the media creators for mobile, and then pretty much have the icon do its magic whenever we shrink this. So let's go to the navbar.css now, and let me go under here, and let's go with the media creator. So add media screen, and I'm gonna say max dash width. And for my computer, it started to break at 960 pixels. Again, you could edit the way I did this code, so it's like at 768, but it just depends on your screen. And there's a target. There's going to target the navbar, so navbar items, and let's just say position relative. And then let's do .nav-menu, and I'm going to say display flex direction to be column. Then I want the width to be spanning 100% of the screen. I'm going to have the height, let's set this to 500 pixels. Position, I need this to be absolute. And let's do top 80 pixels because that's the same height the nav bar, so I want to bring it down the same size. So if I say this right now, nothing is going to pop up yet. And let's do left. So I put 0. You can't see it, but basically let's do minus 100% because I want it to be hidden. And then opacity 1% or just 1. Transition to be all 0.5s ease. So this essentially styled the nav menu, but since we don't have the icon yet showing, it can't trigger the class to essentially showcase what's going on. So let's do nav-menu.active now. So essentially this is the active class. I'm gonna say background hashtag 6668 F4, and then just say left, setting it to 0 now, and then opacity 1, then transition all 0.5s ease, and then z index of 1. And then we're going to do .nav-links, and we're going to say text align center padding to rem with 100% display of table. And then let me just do nav links hover now. So .nav-links hover. And then I'm about to, after these, we're going to have the menu show up soon. So let me just finish this up really quick. So background color, just put hashtag 7577FA. And let's just go ahead and do border radius to 0 because on the desktop it's curved, but when you have it like fully width of the mobile screen, you'll see when that adds in. Let's do navbar dash logo position absolute, and let's do top 0 left 0, and then basically this moved it over here. Let me fix this, you can see. And then just transform, translate, and we're gonna make sure we're gonna bring it 25% and then 50%, and that centers it right there. And now under that, let's target the menu icon so we can actually see what's going on. So let's do display of block. There it is. And now let's do position absolute, and let's set top to 0, right to 0, transform, translate, because right now if I save this, you can see it's like all the way in the top right corner. So I'm going to bring this down 100% and then 60, we'll bring it over 100% and then down, see 60, and then when I increase the sizing, it'll make much more sense. So font size 1.8 rem, and then cursor pointer, boom. Okay, it looks pretty straight to me. I mean, if you think you can fix it up more, feel free. And right now, if I were to click on this, you can see we have pretty much like a semi-working thing going on right now. And then if you hover over it, it kind of has, so this is pretty much all the CSS we have above that was doing this. And if I were to change this to 0, now you can see what's going on. Let's do 100%, so just make sure to change it back. And pretty much this is here. So let's just continue editing the CSS. And we're almost done. So now under that, I want to target the .fa-times. So this is essentially the icon with the X. So color, hashtag, FFF, font size, 2 rem. So let's check it. Turns white, perfect. Let's target the actual the bottom, because right now you notice the two things you need to fix. The button is still here, and then also the we have the custom button down here. So we're gonna have to get rid of this one and then add the one that we have, which was on the menu items here, which is called Navlinks Mobile. So we'll go back to Navbar CSS, Navlinks Mobile, and let's add in, it has quite a bunch of codes. Let's say display block here, text align, be center. Let's add padding of 1.5 rem, and then let's do margin 2 rem auto, And looks like I forgot a colon here. And then let's do border radius of 4 pixels, width of 8 pixels. My bad, not pixels, percent. Save this. So now we have the sign up showing up here. And let's continue finishing, and then let's do background. Oh, let's say hashtag 4AD9E4. So now we got that button looking action going. Text decoration. Get rid of the underline, be none. Color, make it white. And let's change the font size to 1.5 rem. Alright, so now nothing goes on yet because we haven't had the hover effect, but let's finish this off strong. So do nav-links -mobile : hover. And let's say background, let's set it to white. So when we hover this, we have to change the color because it's white right now. So hashtag 6568F4. That's right. And then transition, not transform, transition to be 250 ms. So if we hover now, we got the little hover action going here. So far everything looks good except this button is still here. So I couldn't find a good way to get rid of this, but this is the way I figured it out. Again, let me know in the comments below if you have a better method for this, but basically I'm targeting the component and just saying display none. And pretty much I have it going here. So now if I exit off, drag this back over, hover action going, and then shrink it. Let me make sure you can see. Shrink it here, click it, hover effects, boom, go again like this. And then we can go to the app and check it to make sure everything's working. So we got another nav bar. Looks like it works, perfect, boom, perfect like this. And this is pretty much how I created this nav bar using React and CSS. So if you did enjoy this video, go down below and hit that subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up and let me know any other way that you could improve this code. And comment that down below. And in case, again, if you're new to the channel, I'm documenting myself, learning how to code, and I'm just showcasing what I'm building and showing you what I've built by showing you in these tutorial videos. So if you did see any issues or anything you wanted to refactor my code, definitely let me know. And also if you want to follow along my coding journey, then definitely hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.